Uh-oh, we back. And pow. What's going on, everybody? It is Thursday, February 21st, and we have returned. And by we, I mean just me. Solo NBA strategy show. Ship my money taking over for Laffy today. Adam is under the weather, legitimately under the weather. So we're battling this solo. First day back. And I'm going to be honest with you, I missed it, but I'm also not bummed that it happened. Needed the old battery recharge, but we made it through. And now we have a ton of basketball to talk about. 6-gamer today, and we can get back onto the grind through the rest of the season and then on our way to MLB. Josh should just say, I like everybody, then end the stream. I don't like everybody. Not even close. Oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Lots to talk about. Plugs. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us if you use that code. One big word, NBA Strategy. Like the video, comment afterwards. It's all the good stuff. It's all the good stuff. Shout out to Thrive. They're on Monday, Wednesday, Friday sponsor, but we love them anyway. First game up on this list is a doozy. Oh, God. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it at all. Cleveland Cavaliers hosting the Phoenix Suns. 109.75 implied. Is this right? Did I enter that? I feel like I do this. I'm a little off the momentum of normally doing this show, so. Is that line right? Are the Cavs legitimately favored here? That's comically terrible. Glad to have everybody else back as well. Okay, so Phoenix. It's bouncing between one on each side. Pinnacle has Phoenix, but we'll call it. Either way, it's a pick. It's a point on either direction. And this is the lowest total game on the slate. Both teams not great implied totals. The real quality happens in the late night. So let's take a look. First and foremost, Cleveland Cavaliers. A little bit of a pace-up spot here for Cleveland, as is basically every game that they play. The problem is they're starting to get healthy. Ish. And I don't really totally know what to do with it. I've got Kevin Love in for 22 minutes right now. And this will be a great day for making sure you get in and see the deeper dive or live before lock tonight. Because we're coming back off of, a week break. People are getting healthier. Rotations are going to change a little bit. So getting additional information throughout the day is going to be very important. Like I said, I have Love in for 22 minutes. No Tristan Thompson. It's a tricky spot. They're pretty spread out. And, additions of guys like Brandon Knight are a bit of a problem. Stauskas is a bit of a problem. I don't really know who to absolutely smash here, so we'll talk about it like this. And as you can see on this right-hand side, I want to make sure you guys can see it. I've added a little table of just sort of my ranks for this individual game overall across all three sites, FanDuel, DK, and Yahoo. But that's sort of like a general priority ranking for me. I don't have a ton of interest in Larry Nance. His minutes are just going to be up in the air now. Clarkson, I think, is fine. 5,700 on DraftKings is a pretty nice price tag, so long as he continues to get like 28, 29, 30 minutes. You can talk me into Kevin Love on FanDuel, and that's it, where he's 5,700 for 6,900 on DK or 32 on Yahoo. I'm going to go ahead and skip that for sure. But yeah, Clarkson for 5,700 is really the only spot where or 17 on Yahoo. The $6,500 tag for Clarkson on FanDuel is a bit outlandish. So I'll go a different direction there. Colin Sexton seems just steady across all the sites. As long as he can play 30-plus minutes, I don't think there's an issue there. They're just slowly getting a bunch of these guards that aren't very good, so keep an eye, I guess. And then Chetty, I have in for 30 minutes. I assume that this extra week off is going to help him, and they start to ramp him back up. 4,800 on FanDuel, 5K on DK, $19 on Yahoo. So I really, really like Chetty on FanDuel if you need to play him, and I think that he's perfectly acceptable value right now on DK and Yahoo. As the day goes on, we should probably open up better options than him. But on FanDuel for right now, I can't imagine not at least taking slightly closer look, if you assume he gets a similar run to what he was getting earlier in the season. Like I said, I have him in for 30 minutes right now. It's just really, it's an unappealing game. Phoenix's defense being bad is fantastic, but it also doesn't help that this should be a relatively slow game with two really poor quality offenses. Pricing's just all over the place for Cleveland. FanDuel much more viable than they are on DraftKings. So if I'm summing up Cleveland, Chetty is the clear play for me on FanDuel. Nance, Clarkson, Love, and Sexton would be the only guys I would have any sort of interest in. Otherwise, they'd be basically in like the 2 of 20 lineups if you're playing at 20 max, which FanDuel doesn't have, so I don't know why I'd say it like that. They're just there. They're guys that you would have in a player pool but not have any sort of volume to. On DK, Clarkson and Sexton for me would be my 2 main guys. A little bit of Chetty is fine. That's probably it. No real interest in Larry Nance. No real interest in Kevin. Well, zero interest in Kevin Love at that price tag. And then finally for Yahoo, Clarkson is the main star at $17. Sexton at $14. Nothing else is a real priority. Oh yeah. And we head to Phoenix with the return of DeAnthony Melton. Evidently, I assume this just pulls Elliot Kobo back out of the lineup, but we shall see. A little trio of Booker, Tyler Johnson, and Melton can be okay for the Suns and fun from a fantasy perspective. Got a dog hair on the top of my microphone. Yeah, Love could be okay if he gets into the 25, 26 minute range, although I'd still have a hard time justifying that at 6,900 on DK. So let's start on the Phoenix side. A little bit of a slowdown spot, but it does help that Cleveland's defense is dreadful. And the real exposure is coming out of this Phoenix side. We've got Devin Booker, 8,200 on FanDuel, 7,700 on DraftKings, $32 on Yahoo. I love him clear across the board. Doesn't matter which site. It's just a fantastic spot. No defense whatsoever on the Cleveland side. Booker can easily just go bonkers. I have no problem with it. He's my second favorite guy in this game. A little of that is skewed by DeAndre Ayton's ridiculous price on Yahoo, but absolutely 100% Booker in a lot of volume for me. Circling back to a question from chat, how do I feel about Marquise Chris? As Love ramps back and Chetty ramps back, I assume Marquise Chris doesn't get minutes. I'm not really sure where they would come from. I can't imagine Nance getting under 28. Love can only get more than 22, in my opinion. I've got Chetty at 30. I assume Zizic continues to play some sort of run as a backup 5. So I think Marquise Chris just gets pinched out of this. And even if he doesn't, I don't see him as fantasy viable unless we get some sort of weird news. Ownership yet? Nope. Okay. So yeah, main focus is Devin Booker, and then second main focus, I guess you could say, would be DeAndre Ayton. 7,600 on FanDuel, 7K on DK, $25 on Yahoo. I love Ayton a ton on Yahoo. I would want to really go after that price tag, but across the board, Try to get yourself some DeAndre Ayton. I know it's not the most appealing game from an implied total perspective, but it's Cleveland. They don't have real big men. It's certainly not Larry Nance. Not that I don't like Larry Nance, but I mean, this is a game where Ayton should thrive. No one really capable of stopping him on Cleveland. So get me Booker, get me Ayton. Josh Jackson for 5,800 on FanDuel, I think is okay. I don't have much of an issue there. I have him in for 29 minutes right now. Don't really have a ton of interest on DK or Yahoo outside of just your normal MMEing strategies. And then similarly, Bridges I like a lot more on FanDuel at 5K than I do on DK or Yahoo, but also still, viable in MME scenarios. Not like Booker and Ayton, where I will have massive amounts of both. No real interest in Oubre unless you're paying the $18 on Yahoo. Tyler Johnson is fine as filler, but Booker and Ayton are the guys. Full stop, rubber stamp it, whatever you want to call it. Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton are the best plays of this game, either side of the coin. Oh, that is not the most fun game to start with. Oh my God. Cavs Suns coming off of a week break is, well, it is something. Oh yeah. Okay, good. We're done with Cleveland and Phoenix, and now we move on to another game that is going to be a gigantic pain in the ass. That's not where I typed that at all. The Philadelphia 76ers. Ty Jones, what about Clarkson? Looks good. I talked about him. Philadelphia 76ers hosting the Miami Heat. 112.75 implied total for the Sixers. 106.25 for the Heat. It's a 6.5 point line for the Sixers. Cossack leading down the right direction. A lot depends on if Dragic plays. Right now I have him in, along with the ability to have Derek Jones play. Who knows if that happens? Who knows what happens with this entire team? But we'll start on the Philly side, where we've got no Joel Embiid. And that's always interesting. We've got the three-headed monster now, Simmons, Butler, Harris. If you're asking me to... No, let's start here. This is not that appealing of a fantasy game, but the implied totals are relatively low. These teams are still trying to work their way, or, Philly's still trying to work in Tobias Harris. I don't have a giant preference between these guys. Butler and Simmons could go either way depending on the site. And then Harris is just sort of there. I can't really recommend anyone with any sort of volume. I guess I would go Butler, Simmons, Harris if I were ranking the three. But I'm not excited about it. I do want to take a look through any data they have with Embiid off, which is going to be minimal. But it's really hard to focus on anything from Philly today. I don't mind using them. In a 20 max scenario on DK, I'd have probably two of each one of those guys, because I assume someone plays pretty well. Nothing stands out to me as particularly viable, though. Let's see. On FanDuel, I'd go Simmons, Butler, Harris. On DK, I'd go Butler, Simmons, Harris. And then Butler on Yahoo for $28 would be my favorite. I think Redick is okay, but just that. And then the guy that everybody else is going to want to talk about, Boban. 3,800 on FanDuel, 3,500 on DK, $10 minimum on Yahoo. I've got him in for 18 minutes. I don't necessarily feel comfortable with that number. At 18 minutes, I would probably have a small amount on DK. Any minute we get above that is obviously very, very, very important. If he lands in that 18 to 22 range, I think he's a perfectly viable option on DraftKings. I don't have much interest whatsoever on FanDuel unless we get word that like Amir, God, my nose is so itchy. It's so dry here right now. Unless we get word that like Amir and Jonah Bolden are also out. On Yahoo, I don't have much interest. The spot that I would want to use Boban on would be for DK. So if he has extra, if he can get more than 18 minutes, that's the spot. But, you know, keep in mind, I wouldn't expect him to just run out there and play a ton of time just because Embiid is out. They've got enough options. And especially, Whiteside is really the only guy that they have to worry about from a big perspective. Everybody else on, like, you know, while Bam is a center, it's not like they need to have Boban out there or something. So, ooh, Australian Heritage Night in Philly. So, line up your Ben Simmons, I guess. Okay. Yeah, I'd keep a close eye on Jonah Bolden as well. I don't really expect any of these guys to get the minutes that we want, but if they do, you know, if Bolden is completely unowned, keep an eye on Boban's exposure. I just don't see it unless he gets a ton of minutes. It would really surprise me if he did. Alrighty, Miami side. God, if Goran Dragic is back, this is a gigantic problem. It's a gigantic problem if he is back. It's hard enough. Like, I gave Dragic 20 minutes. No idea if that's a legitimate outcome for today, how much he is ready. But if he gets 20 minutes, we need to figure out places to take them from. And it's honestly just not an easy like, who knows? They could sit Wade. They could sit whoever. All right, Curtis, I'll cycle back to that. Love Josh, but his Boban take is way off. I mean, the take is basically a minutes projection. That's really all that matters. I'm not confident in projecting Boban to play 20 plus minutes in any game, basically. That's just not the way that he operates. It has nothing to do with whether or not I think he's a good play. He's clearly a fantastic point per minute guy. I don't get the sense that he gets an overwhelming amount of run. If you think that he gets a lot more than 18 minutes, then you should be putting him in a ton of lineups. That's all. I just, I have a hard time going significantly more than that. I get that we have to fill Embiid's minutes. I think it's easier to give them other guys. Could be wrong, but that's the play. We're not worried about his performance. You're basically making a prediction of how many minutes you think Boban plays, and basically anything north of 20 means that you're going to have Boban a lot. I don't disagree with it. He's not a great value at 18 minutes. He is functionally passable at 3,500. That's basically it for me. I truly have no idea what to do with Miami. It's a pace up spot, but you really need to sift through the debris here. Whiteside is the clear, like, oh man, we should smash here. Because 7,300 on FanDuel, 6,700 on DK, $24 on Yahoo. You would think Hassan Whiteside is in a smash spot. But Mark Smith in YouTube chat just had a good point. Don't sleep on Amir Johnson. I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all to have Amir soak up a little bit of extra center time against Whiteside. Like, everybody thinks they have the answer for this one, when the real answer is all of this is really tricky. Philly is missing Embiid. Miami is bringing people back to a rotation. Oh, Cossack, I don't mean sleep on Amir from a fantasy perspective. I don't have any real interest in Amir Johnson from a fantasy perspective. But every minute he gets is perfectly acceptable from a defensive aspect against Miami. And every minute that Amir is on the floor means Boban isn't. So I don't necessarily mean that it matters. And look, Amir could certainly not play, and Jonah Bolden gets a ton of time. But this is the sort of spot that you play Amir. Now, I don't mean from a fantasy perspective. I just mean from a defensive standpoint in this game, Amir can be on the floor with Hassan Whiteside. Those are just minutes at center that exist. I don't want it to sound like I am advocating for Amir Johnson from a fantasy perspective, but there are 48 minutes to be had at center, and if he gets them, that's just minutes that Boban's not getting. Something to keep in mind. Josh Richardson, 6,300 on FanDuel. I'm cool with it. Bam Adebayo, 3,500 on DK. Keep an eye on his minutes. Or keep an eye on his ownership projections, because I like Bam a little bit at 3,500 on DraftKings. Whiteside for $24 on Yahoo would be the direction I would want to go. But I'm not entirely sure that I can recommend anybody else from Miami. Let me take a look at something here since everybody's talking. All right. Boban in the last 4 games they've played, 14, 11, 13, and 15 minutes. I have him playing 18. So who's projecting him to play less minutes than he normally does? He plays 13 minutes per game. I gave him 5 additional minutes. I don't know who's talking about him playing no minutes, but I'm already projecting him 50% higher than he normally plays. I agree they don't matter, but they have plenty of options that don't have to be Boban. We tend to tug off Boban a little bit too much in the fantasy industry. I love him too, and it's an exciting prospect, but there's a reason he doesn't play an overwhelming amount of games. 17 and 17 before that. Before what? What are we looking at? Minutes that he played for the Clippers now? Are those super relevant? Or is my data just jacked up? Where's February 3rd? Yeah, okay. I'm fine with this now. Look, if he plays 20 minutes, he plays 20 minutes. We're spending way too much time on this. Yeah, I have Amir Johnson playing 12. I have Jonah Bolden playing 18. I have Boban playing 18. 48 minutes. I don't know why 18 is laughable in that scenario. It's on my screen. Boban 18, Jonah Bolden 18, Amir Johnson 12. Is that super crazy? I don't think it is. If you guys think that you have a better minutes projection, then go for it. Yeah, him being the starter is largely irrelevant to me, but I'd probably go to like 20 if he's named the starter. If Dragic is out, I'm still not going to be crazily recommending everybody because I still don't trust any of this rotation. I think that Wade is then feasible at 4,300 on DraftKings. I think Justice Winslow is feasible for 5,200 on DK. Most of these guys have better DraftKings prices than they do anywhere else. So if Dragic is out, you just have to treat the Heat like with kid gloves. It's really, really hard to trust these guys. So use your discretion. There's just no way for me to truly advocate for something from Miami outside of Josh Richardson on FanDuel, Bam Adebayo on DK, or Hassan Whiteside on Yahoo. Yeah, Ted's got a good point. Like, Amir could very easily start this game. There's a difference between fantasy viable and soaking up minutes, and this strikes me as a soak up minutes type joint. Yeah, Waiters is from Philly. Lots of people are from Philly. Yeah, just avoid it. There's I don't know, like 12 options in this game. Gross. Downright gross. Let's get to another gross game. The Brooklyn Nets hosting the Portland Trail Blazers. 109.5 implied total for the Nets. Actually, this didn't have a line when I originally entered it in, so it is now at Portland -2. So 1.5, 230.5. Nope, that should be positive. There we go. Okay. Nets 114.5 implied total. Blazers 116. So 1.5 point favorites for Portland in Brooklyn. This is another team that's just impossible to deal with. Impossible to deal with. How many minutes does Caris LeVert play? How many minutes does Alan Crabb play? Because I don't know where to take minutes from these guys. I would have assumed that guys like Travion Graham would stop playing, but they like Graham and they like Kuruk, so I don't know how to pull the minutes from these guys. I've got LeVert at 27. I've got Crabb at 24. I'm not happy with it, but this is a lot like. Hold on, let me see here. What am I typing in? Brooklyn. So this is one of those things like we see a lot. Come like all-star game times where this is how you deal with snubs for all-star games. You need to be able to take minutes from somebody else. And right now I don't know where those minutes come from. I can get to LeVert at 30. I can get to Crabb at like 26 or something like that, but they've got to come from somewhere. Can they just shave the rotation? Can they drop Kuruks and not have him play and give those 8 minutes somewhere else? Absolutely. Can Kenny Atkinson flatten everything out and everybody plays 21 to 29 minutes? Absolutely. So for right now, Jared Allen for 4,900 on DraftKings is very, very appealing to me. And at $17 on Yahoo, it's appealing as well. I think D'Angelo Russell is terrifying at 9,200 on FanDuel, but still feasible. 8,200 on DraftKings, a lot better. 32 on Yahoo, fine. If you get Alan Crabb to 30 minutes, he's whatever. LeVert is the one that matters most, I think. 5,800 on FanDuel, 5,100 on DK, $16 on Yahoo. If you can get LeVert to 30 minutes and they walk Napier back even more, like I only have Napier at 12 minutes. I don't think that that's crazy. I just don't know where to take the minutes from until this sort of solidifies. So I would like to give slightly more minutes to Caris LeVert. I would like to give slightly more minutes to Alan Crabb. I'm not entirely sure where I need to take them from, and I'm not super worried about it right out of the gate. But if I'm taking anything from here, at least on DK, Jared Allen is the main guy that I want. I don't anticipate his minutes being all that much of an issue. He's still basically going to split with Ed Davis. So Jared Allen's the guy that I would be looking for. There's not a ton of value on this Nets team on FanDuel. So you can comfortably get away from those guys unless they play a ton. Yeah, Ed Davis for 3,400 on DraftKings is also a really interesting way to go if you're playing 150 in a tournament. It's really hard to dive into these teams that are working back so many dudes. taking minutes from other people are tough, especially for the Nets right now. I think you're really wrong about this too, Josh. Allen will spend. Allen Crabbe or Jared Allen? I assume Allen Crabbe because I'm advocating for Jared Allen. Allen Crabbe doesn't ever really smash anything. Unless you're thinking of some sort of revenge narrative for Portland getting him paid. Yeah, I don't know what I'm wrong about then because I just highly recommended Jared Allen as like my favorite play on DraftKings. But either way, either way. Look, you can make a case for a lot of these guys on DK because their prices are so low. Russell, Allen, Harris, Ed Davis, Damari Carroll. Napier's price is low. It's not appealing. Yeah, like if you want to play Damari Carroll at 4,100, go for it. I just like, what if they play him 21 minutes because they want to give somebody else extra minutes? I just Damari Carroll is not the hill that I would like to live or die on this particular slate. All right, let's go to Portland. Dame Lillard, 10,100 on FanDuel, 8,600 on DK, $36 on Yahoo. He's fine. I think he's priced appropriately. This is a nice pace up spot for Portland. Implied total looks fine. I have no problem going to Dame across either site. I would say that I like him most on DK, but I don't really have much of an issue one way or the other. Oh man, you guys are talking about Josh Hart. I don't even. We'll have to have a bigger conversation about his minutes as well when we get to the Lakers, but I'm sure everybody will start yelling at me about that one too. Play Lillard, play him no matter what on any site. It doesn't matter. I like having a decent amount of Dame here. I think he probably goes mildly underlooked, but we shall see once ownership drops. Going back to the Nurkic well, 8,100 on FanDuel, 7,400 on DK, 27 on Yahoo. Now, it's possible he takes a little haircut in minutes due to Enes Kanter being here now. I've Kanter in for 16 minutes, Nurkic in for 32. They're going to split the center minutes. I don't know what that means for Zach Collins right now. I don't know what that means for Myers Leonard. Well, I mean, it probably doesn't mean much for Myers Leonard, but for Zach Collins, at least, that's kind of scary. I'd like to go to Nurkic if you think he plays more than 30 minutes. If you don't, you're going to want to walk him back a little bit. I assume it takes them a little bit to get Kanter involved, but going to be a hard. I mean, I'm certainly not looking at Kanter, so use your discretion on Nurk if you think that he takes a big time minutes hit. Might be something to pay attention to. Cossack, I'm pretty sure Kanter's there because I'm getting his salary. So unless I didn't refresh this morning, what is that? 221. Yeah, Kanter's on the DK slate. He's 5,500 on DraftKings. Yeah, like it could easily be. I could easily go 18 minutes to Kanter, 30 to Nurkic. Let's make that change. I think I'm comfortable there. I know these people love to give me a bunch of crap. I live for it. This is fun. Yeah, still like Nurkic. Still can't recommend Kanter. Still love Dame. CJ for 6,400 on FanDuel is really tasty. 6,600 on DraftKings, a little bit less so. 24 on Yahoo, a little bit less so. But I like CJ here on the FanDuel side. His price is just too appealing. After that, I'm not really filling out with Layman or Hood or anything like that. So the focus is Dame across the board. And then Nurkic on Yahoo at $27 is something that I like quite a bit. The ownership Our ownership isn't out yet, Anthony. So, and nothing you see on here is projected ownership. Let me fix this. Thought I updated this. Forgot that I switched to a solo show because I thought I was going to have ship my money. So, get the correct ticker on here right now. There we go. Thanks for letting me know. I have no idea when Fantasy Cruncher will be updated, but we're clearly aware of it. Jesus. Is Lillard even playing today? I hope so. Okay. That's probably it on Portland. Just stick to Lillard and Nurkic if you think Nurkic still plays 30 minutes. Otherwise, Lillard across the board, Nurkic, CJ McCollum on FanDuel. It's a tricky game. Tricky game. Now we're getting into the good stuff. The Milwaukee Bucks hosting the Boston Celtics. Fantastic basketball game. 116 implied total for the Bucks, 111 for Boston. Pretty neutral matchup here from a pace perspective for the Bucks. Obviously, Celtics defense is solid. Giannis is 12-4 on FanDuel, 10-8 on DK, $50 on Yahoo. He's not my favorite option to pay up for. We'll be getting to that eventually. I like him more on FanDuel than I do anywhere else, but I don't really like a lot from this game. It's just not that appealing to me. We've got Bledsoe, 6,700 FanDuel, 6,800 DK, 27 on Yahoo. Love Bledsoe on FanDuel. 6,700 is way too cheap for him. He is the best play in this game on any site, on either team. Bledsoe on FanDuel. And then Middleton, I think, is passable on FanDuel. But I don't really want any part of the Bucks. They're just a really hard team to roster up from a DK perspective. And now we're working in Nikola Mirotic. I've got him in for 20 minutes. Any minute that he plays above that is scary. You don't want to play him. FanDuel, I guess, is feasible, but we got to see how he works here. I can't really advocate for it. The game should be close, which can lead to these guys playing some additional minutes. But if you get to Milwaukee, I get it. But Bledsoe is the only guy that I would make a push for, and that's on FanDuel only. Boston side, pace up spot. What's the ESPN alert? Whoa. Syracuse coach Jim Boeheim was behind the wheel of a car that hit and killed a pedestrian. Uh-oh. I don't want to know any more of that one. Pace up spot for Boston, but clearly very, very difficult matchup. Bucks defense, fantastic. Even better than the Celtics has been as of late. Kyrie, 9,600 on FanDuel, 9,200 on DK, $39 on Yahoo. I think Kyrie is fine. On FanDuel, I don't have much interest on DK or on Yahoo. Horford on DraftKings at 6K looks great. At 8K on FanDuel, I'm going to go ahead and go a different direction. And 24 on Yahoo, I think, is fine. But 6K on DraftKings, get yourself some Al Horford. You're not going to be upset about that. Good to know. After that, I don't have any interest in anything from Boston, whether that's, Tatum at 5,900 on DK. Gordon Hayward might not be playing. I don't see the need to go to anything else from Boston unless we get word that a bunch of people are out. But for now, Kyrie, FanDuel, Al Horford, DK. Don't really need to pay attention to anything else. Two games left. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're the two best ones. These are going to be pretty popular, as they should be. So, the Golden State Warriors are hosting the Sacramento Kings. Warriors 125.75 implied total. Highest on the slate by 8 full points. Sacramento Kings 114.25. Both teams solid defensively. Three Kings significantly better than average on defense over their last 15. Something to keep in mind. We'll start on the Golden State side, where apparently DeMarcus Cousins no longer has a minutes limit now. I don't expect Cousins to be playing 36 minutes in this one. We've got a little bit of a revenge narrative for all the people that love revenge narratives. But let's take a look at it. First and foremost, we need to talk about the most ridiculous pricing, which would be DeMarcus Cousins for $6,100 on DraftKings. He's my favorite play of the day at that price. I love Cousins here. He's incredible on DraftKings. He's incredible on Yahoo at $23. And he's perfectly fine at $7,600. So, feel free to play DeMarcus Cousins. He's my favorite player of this game. Close second, Draymond Green. And the only reason that, DK, I love Cousins massively, similarly on Yahoo. He just doesn't have the best price on FanDuel, and that's where Draymond sort of fills the gap. That's why you'll see Draymond's name ahead of Boogie's over here. Draymond, $6,800 on FanDuel, $6K on DK, $24 on Yahoo. I'm in. 100%. I want a lot of Draymond Green. I like those price points. All three sites, totally fine with me. From there, I'll take Curry before I take Durant. Either site, Curry 9,500 on FanDuel, Durant 10,200, and they are 9,000 and 9,300 on DK. So I prefer Curry to Durant on both sites. And then finally, Klay Thompson is in the same spot he's always in. 7K on FanDuel, 6,500 on DraftKings, $24 on Yahoo. You know, you want to have him in, if you're playing 20 max on DK, you want to have him in 2. You want to have 10% of him in 150 on FanDuel and Yahoo. If he's the last guy you put in a single entry on any site, go for it. No issues with playing Klay Thompson. It's a really hard guy to play with any volume. But getting yourself some Curry, I think would be, or low-owned Curry or Durant. Oh, X-Cossack is saying that as well. Yeah, if you can get yourself some low-owned Curry or Durant, I'd highly recommend it here. I've got Boogie in for 27 minutes, and at that point, he just smashes a $6,100 price tag. So he would need to play not a lot for me to go crazy. Give me Cousins, give me Draymond in bulk. Bulk. On the Sacramento side, pace up spot. Kind of a tough defensive matchup, but we're going to take a look nonetheless. De'Aaron Fox, 7K on FanDuel, $7,100 on DraftKings, $27 on Yahoo. I don't really need him on DK, but 7K on FanDuel looks pretty tasty. I can go that direction. Marvin Bagley is $5,700 on FanDuel, $58 on DK, $23 on Yahoo. I like Bagley quite a bit on FanDuel for $5,700. Don't really need him for $5,800 or $23 on Yahoo. Harry Barnes is solid. $5,800 on FanDuel is fine. $4,700 on DraftKings, though. I'm going to have way too much Harrison Barnes today. Revenge narrative. We'll take that. Hope everybody knows that I'm talking tongue-in-cheek about a revenge narrative. And then finally, Barnes at $17 on Yahoo. It looks pretty good. Barnes would probably be my favorite king if we're just going across the board. But that DK price tag is just insanity. After that, you can talk yourself into Willie Cauley-Stein at $4,900. I don't see the need. Bogdan at $4,500 I think is worth a flyer in 150, maybe 1 out of 20 in a 20 max. But Just a tough sell. The guy that I would want to focus on most coming out of Sacramento is, unfortunately, Harrison Barnes. But the Barnes, Willie Cauley-Stein, Bogdan price tags on DK are phenomenal. Similarly, the Fox and Bagley tags on FanDuel are nice. And then Buddy Hield's just kind of there. Be a tough sell for me. Haha. What up, Jake? I'll see you in a month or so. It's a fun game. I like getting a lot of bites. I hope that this one stays close and we can get the studs to be on the floor a little bit longer. But you should be starting everything with Boogie and Draymond. Bam. Hield is the best play on the team. Yeah, Hield on FanDuel I think is reasonable. I have a hard time going there for 6,400 on DK. Pricing's just sort of all over the place for the Kings, so it's hard for me. Let's close this out now. Man, only 47 minutes in. I love it. Hit that like button while you're here. Comment after the video just to say what up. What else do we got? We got all that information in. No updates there. The final game. The Los Angeles Lakers hosting the Houston Rockets. 115.25 implied total for the Lake Show. 117.75 for the Rockets. So 2.5 point favorites. Now, we're going to need to have, before everybody freaks out, we need to have a conversation about Josh Hart's minutes today and where they come from. So let's approach this from a logical standpoint and we'll walk our way through it. I gave him 8. They were the easiest 8 that I can get him to. We need to have the conversation about where the rest of them come from. Because it's not an easy answer, in my opinion. Do they come from Rajon Rondo? Do they come from Lance Stevenson? Do they come from somebody else? I don't know how to get... ultimately, I wanted to get Josh Hart in like the 14 to 16 range. I don't know where they come. Does Tyson Chandler just simply not play? Reggie... I'm not entirely sure Reggie Bullock doesn't play 30 minutes. That's the thing. But apparently you guys do. Yeah, I mean, getting rid of Chandler's minutes are an easy way to go. So let's do something like that. Let's just yank Chandler. Reappropriate some of those minutes, and I think that we'd probably be fine. I'm not entirely sure Bullock doesn't get at least 28. So I'll take 2 there. Bullock is there to play now. As crazy as it sounds. They should be probably taking minutes from KCP. They don't appear to be doing that. Shout out Clutch Sports. I don't think Bullock takes that big of a haircut in minutes. That's not something... I'm not willing to go much lower than 28 right now. I mean, Lance Stevenson is the guy that should just be removed from this rotation, but I feel like that's not going to happen. I'm going to pull 6 minutes from Tyson Chandler. Put Kuzma there and go to 26. And then I need to move 6 minutes here. So let's go 12 and 22. That's the best I can do right there. There we go. So we'll start with LeBron. Got him in for 34 minutes. 11.7 on FanDuel, 10.6 on DK, $47 on Yahoo. Yeah, I'll have some LeBron. I actually like him better on FanDuel than I do on DK. No issue going to Braun just because this should be a fantastic spot. Just not the guy that I plan on spending up for the most. We've got Ingram at 6,200 on FanDuel, 5,600 on DK, 19 on Yahoo. I'll be using him quite a bit across the board. Similarly, I'll have some Kuzma. I think JaVale for $14 on Yahoo is one of the more underrepresented things in this game. I don't really want much else here. Doesn't really matter who gets the minutes, whether it's Hart, Bullock, KCP. I can't advocate for those guys. So LeBron, Ingram, and Kuzma are the only places that I really want to look here. From the Houston side, this one's crazy. Massive pace-up spot for Houston. Lakers defense is absolutely dreadful. So, 12-6 for James Harden on FanDuel, 11-6 on DK, $55 on Yahoo. I'm in. I love James Harden today. I can't imagine not wanting to play him. 100% just want a ton of James Harden. I will want to keep an eye on his ownership, but Harden's my dude. Not only that, 7,800 on FanDuel, 7,600 on DK, $28 on Yahoo. I certainly want a bunch of Chris Paul. No problem there. I'll try to limit having the two of them together, but Paul's price isn't that outlandish that it's not going to be that much of an issue for me. But I certainly want a lot of Harden. I certainly want a lot of Paul. Clint Capella back, allegedly. I have him in for 28 minutes. I gave Fareed the other 20. If that's the case, I don't really need to go to either of these guys. Then PJ Tucker, 4,500 on FanDuel, 3,900 on DK, $15 on Yahoo. Just because of the way this game is going to work, both from a LeBron James perspective, from a pace perspective, from a defense perspective. If no extra value pops out, then I'll take a look at PJ Tucker as a $3,900 punt on DK. Just remember, it's PJ Tucker. It's not that appealing. Yeah, no restrictions on Capella. I think that they just simply don't need to play him 36 minutes because they have Fareed now. So I think that they can just be a little bit more realistic in him coming back. He doesn't need to go 34 or 36. The guy that I want, though, out of this game is James Harden. Eric Gordon for 4,400 on DK seems fine. It's a solid value. I just hope that enough value opens up in the rest of the slate that we don't need to go to it all that much. Harden and Chris Paul are the guys that I want the most. It's the most advantageous spot on the entire slate. Second highest implied total. Second best defensive matchup. It's what I want. I don't get the sense that there's going to be a fist fight between Ingram and Rondo and Chris Paul again. So I think I'll avoid that little narrative. But Paul and Harden are my guys. That's where I want to be. So if we're talking about my favorite plays from a FanDuel perspective, Paul, Draymond, Harden, Curry, Devin Booker. On DK, Cousins, Harden, Draymond, Paul, PJ Tucker. Going to be a guy I play a lot on DraftKings. And then on Yahoo, DeMarcus Cousins, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, Yusuf Nurkic, James Harden. That's where I'm at right now. We're 6 games in. Get me in and out in an hour. Got ship my money with the bum tummy. Coming up later today, deeper dive from 5 to 6. Live before lock, myself and Fast Eddie Fear going from 6 to 7. It's a fun little slate. It's the right amount of games to get us worked back in, but man, do I miss this. Miss it so much. I'm happy that the NBA is back. We've got a nice little month plus long grind before we start sliding into baseball as well. So thank you guys for joining me. Hit that like button on your way out the door. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Would I go to Paul and Harden in a single entry? I doubt it, but I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I doubt it. I feel like I would just end up having a slightly different build. There's enough guys in other games that I'd end up not getting to one of those two guys. I think that's everything, though, guys. Thank you for joining me. An hour in the books. We got through it pretty quickly. Happy to be back. Happy to have everybody back with me. Check out our iTunes feed. The show goes up on iTunes immediately after the show is over. I upload this so that people can get the audio version. So if you haven't subscribed to us from a podcast perspective and you don't necessarily watch on YouTube, we have the audio version. So thanks for joining me, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Best of luck. Peace.